Well, good afternoon, Facebook. It looks like we're live. I want to say thank you to everyone that will be tuning in to watch. This is our last in the month of May, our Facebook Live Q&A featuring small business innovators. We are have been extremely impressed and inspired by those guests that we've had on for the past 4 weeks. And I've got another one today that I'm excited to share with you. And actually, you may, if you've been following this series, you may recognize Scott. Scott Regenbogen with Regenbogen Studios is joining me again. We are going to do a do-over because the technology gods were certainly not in our favor. But I'm so excited to talk with him because I continue to be intrigued at what he does every day, and certainly how he's responded over the last several months amidst COVID-19 and the COVID-19 pandemic. But before we get to Scott, I am so privileged to welcome our sponsor. Jay Brown with Jay Brown Realtors has served as our sponsor to help launch this series and has carried us through the month of May. And Jay, thank you again so much.
Thank you, Lindsay. Good to be back. And this is going to be my farewell interview with Scott. He's going to send us off into the horizon here. Super interesting guy with a super interesting business. If you missed the last time he was on here, that a lot of cool stuff. So you guys are in for a treat today. And thanks for letting me be a sponsor of this. I'm very proud of what you guys are doing in our community, and I wish you all the best, and I'll see you guys all real soon.
Hey, Jay, before you sign off, talk about Hats for Hickory really quickly.
Yeah, so a while back we decided to make some hats that said "I love Hickory," and after some video chats and talks with Lindsay and the mayor and a couple other guys, we decided to bring those to the public, and you can now pick those up at the local skate shop. It is First and Flight Skate Shop, right next to, I guess, our office downtown. $20, I Love Hickory hat, and all the proceeds go to support that skate shop. And as that moves forward, hopefully we'll bring more of those and support more local businesses with that.
Jay, you gave me a little bit of credit, but I can't accept it because truly you took this effort and ran with it. What a cool testament to how one business can support another business through this time. And like you said, the skate shop, he started up not too long before all of this happened, right?
Yes. Yep. If you were on last week to see the Small Cakes interview, very similar story, a brand new business, launch, ready to go, and then, everything shut down. So very similar story. We took a liking to our neighbor, and we decided, instead of giving everyone just a small piece or portion of what we were able to help fundraise, maybe we just support one, put one small business under our wing, and maybe we inspire other businesses to do something similar.
So if you haven't seen the I Love Hickory hats, they have definitely been all the social media craze, and maybe Jay can grab one. Oh, sweet, look.
They're pretty awesome hats. They look really nice, and we actually have them in the LR colors now, Lenore Ryan, if you're a fan.
So they've got the cardinal, and then they have the bright red, like the crawdad red, to support all the local goodness. So definitely grab one of your hats, or the I Love Hickory hats. And where can they find them again, Jay?
It's First and Flight Skate Shop, and it is right beside Crescent Moon downtown Hickory. And he's open today. He has some in stock right now.
Awesome. So how generous. They continue. Jay Brown Realtors, sponsors their chamber. They support their community, and also you've donated these hats for them to then net the proceeds 100%. So go pick up your I Love Hickory hat at the skate shop in downtown Hickory. Jay, I'm going to ask you, when you log off here, if you don't mind dropping the link to the video in the comments of this post for our Facebook Live feed, so that people can connect directly with that information.
I will do that. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
See you
Jake,
guys.
so much, so much. All right, well, now this is also my time that I want to encourage those viewers that are watching to share this video. So I want to make sure that everyone sees and hears from Scott. I know you will take away some valuable nuggets that he has implemented through his experiences, but also he is just a very inspiring individual. So please share the video. Also, another way you can engage is to start a watch party. So if you click on the link or on the post, it gives you the option to say start watch party. So if you start a watch party, then it notifies all of your friends and they can join in and watch with you. And then other ways, so comment on the post. And so I can actually intertwine your comments and also your questions into our live interview. So it really makes it very engaging and interesting to hear from you. And I will be happy to if we're able to do it live, I'll weave those into our conversation. So right now, so I can test the comments to make sure I can see them. If you're watching, would you just comment watching? If you'd like to indicate where you're watching the video from, you're welcome to share that. But if you would just help me out, those of you that are viewing live, which we do have some viewers, go ahead and drop me a comment so that I can make sure that I can see the comments. Also, if you're catching the replay, so you weren't able to catch this live, if you're watching it and this is the replay, go ahead and drop replay in the comments as well. It helps us know that you stopped in, and I thank you in advance for that. So another thing, give us some likes, hearts, and wow faces. If you can hear us loud and clear, again, the more engagement that we receive on these posts, the more people that are going to be able to view it now and also later. We have had quite the viewership over the last several weeks. You guys have certainly continued to follow this series. We've received great feedback from you on how you've enjoyed the content and the guests that we've had. A lot of our guests, you may have never heard of them or experienced them or met them before. So this gives a unique opportunity, not only for us to spread some encouragement, affirmation, but also some great knowledge and content from each of our guests. Our viewers, let's see, average people reached for the May series per session are 2,000 people. So 2,000 individuals per video have been reached with this great content. So I want to thank you, our viewers, for tuning in and for continuing to be generous in sharing and also commenting and responding through your likes, hearts, and wows. So you might be wondering, what are we going to do next? So we're putting together another series that we're going to bring called the Summer Series. We're working on the theme of that, but we will continue to do this because you've really liked it. So again, if you'd like to be a guest or if you'd like to sponsor one of our episodes, please reach out to us, either myself or Kim Dahlstein, who is our Oz behind the curtain. And we will be happy to connect you with what we're doing here. So without further ado, you guys don't want to listen to me the whole day. You want to hear from Scott Regenbogen. So Scott Regenbogen, I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. He is the owner and founder of Regenbogen Studios. Scott is a design professional with 35 years of industry experience. He graduated from the Philadelphia College of Art with a degree in woodworking and furniture design. Having worked for high-end furniture companies in Connecticut and North Carolina, Scott has had the benefit of working with well-known designers and a variety of companies across the globe. Also, when I met Scott, he was working at the Manufacturing Solutions Center through CBCC, which is located in Conover. If you don't know about the Manufacturing Solutions Center, maybe I can get Scott to give you some more details, but this is one of our crown jewels of Catawba County. It is an asset. We are nationally recognized, nationally known because of the Manufacturing Solutions Center in Conover. They do work, prototyping, testing, work for companies and major brands all over the world, but their goal is to create jobs in the United States, and also a lot of jobs within our region, because they utilize a network of companies, vendors and suppliers to bring new products to market. So we'll maybe get Scott to talk a little bit more about that, but he worked at the Manufacturing Solutions Center for 10 years prior to then starting his company. Well, he's corrected me. He says 9 years, so almost 10 years. But prior to actually going out on his own and starting his own company called Regenbogen Studios. So Scott, thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome, Lindsay. Nice to be here again. Thank you for giving us a mulligan.
Hey, it was completely on us on there. And again, those technology gods, sometimes when we do this technology, it doesn't work out the best. Absolutely. Thank you for coming on again.
My pleasure.
All right. So how we've started out every interview, I thought you'd like to get to know Scott even outside of what he does every day. And you're going to hear a little bit more about that in just a minute. But let's do a rapid fire Q&A, get to know Scott in 5 minutes or less. You ready? Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. You don't seem very confident.
No, I'm ready. I'm totally ready.
You ready? Okay. All right. Here we go. So define innovation, Scott.
Creating a new idea.
What is one of the most beautiful places you visited?
Hawaii.
What is one cause that's near and dear to your heart?
Cancer research and Alzheimer's research. That's two. Sorry.
That's okay. What is one thing you want to accomplish before you retire?
I'd like to make an impact on the world in a positive way.
Name a piece of technology you wish existed.
Oh, transporter.
Now, would you transport to the past or to the future?
Well, not necessarily a time machine, although that would be cool. But I just mean like a transporter, like on Star Trek. So I would go to Hawaii first.
Okay, so you just snap your fingers, go in your transporter, and end up on the beach of Hawaii. I'm with you. Okay, gotcha. Cat or dog person?
I'd have to say cat dog, because we have 5 cats and a really big dog. So
That's great. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
I'd like to fly. I think that'd be cool. Flying would be cool.
So if you didn't have a teleporter or a transporter, you could then fly and still be at the beaches in Hawaii. Okay, cool.
Just take longer.
I'm all for it. Okay. If I gave you $5, what would you buy?
I think I'd try to get something for people who, I know it sounds corny, but I like 5 bottles of water for people on the street.
Love it. A topic that fascinates you?
Definitely space travel.
If you could pick up a new skill in an instant, what would that be?
I'd like to be able to play anything that I could hear on a guitar.
Love it. You also make guitars, right, Scott?
I do. I got a couple in the works right now. Yep.
What song do you wish were playing in the background right now? Speaking of guitars.
I don't know. I should have an answer to this one, but
you're a music lover, so I'm sure you have all kinds of
any Steely Dan song, I guess.
Nice. All right, what's one thing you can't live without?
My family, the love from my family.
Early bird or night owl?
Definitely night.
What's one of the most random facts about you?
I'm an avid Bigfoot fanatic.
So is Bigfoot like a real thing? Is Sasquatch
for real? Absolutely.
Love it. Did you attend the Bigfoot Festival in McDowell County?
In Marion?
Yes.
Ironically, we were coming back from Asheville on the day that was going on, and we had to drive through there. I couldn't get out of the car. It was so crowded. It was amazing. But
I love it. So you're not alone. You're not alone.
No, neither are we.
Ooh. All right. What was the last book you read?
Probably the final book in the series, the Dark Tower series by Stephen King.
Nice. If you were famous, what would you be famous for?
I thought I was famous. Uh,
Okay. I got you are famous. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So if you aren't in your studio, where could we find you?
On the couch. Is that a terrible answer?
No, it's not. It's not. All right. Describe entrepreneurship in one word.
Perseverance.
Love it. Love it. You know, one thing that stood out to me, and which tells me a lot about you, Scott. When I asked you, let's see, when I asked you what's one thing you want to accomplish before you retire, you said you want to make an impact on the world. And entrepreneurs like yourself, I've realized that there are just some innate qualities that you have, that you creatures have, that, like I mentioned, it's innate. It's a part of who you are in your DNA, and you can't separate yourself. And honestly, if I asked you, why do you feel that way? You probably couldn't give me a clear answer, because that's just who you are. So the fact that, you know, that's a big why of why I love to do what I do, is because I get to work with people every day who truly, that's their mission. The mission's not about making money. And yeah, that's a nice byproduct. And you need, any good entrepreneur needs to figure that big question out. But the fact that you're motivated by enhancing the lives of those around you and making an impact on the world for the better, is incredibly inspiring. So kudos to you for being you.
No, thanks. I mean, I learned, I started teaching at CVCC in 2004 after getting laid off, and realized how much I enjoyed doing that. And, you know, things that I took for granted, people were excited to learn about. And so, you know, for me, like you were saying, making an impact could be as small as sharing an idea, and you have no idea where that idea goes, but, you know, 4 people down the road, that fourth person has done something with an idea that came from something you might have taught someone or showed someone. So I think, you know, whether or not that's tied into the entrepreneurial mindset or not, I think, you know, that helped me to learn about just sharing what you're passionate about. And like you said, you know, it can't help but come out when you're excited about something. And it was fantastic working at Manufacturing Solution Center. I think I call it the best kept secret, or the worst kept secret in this area, because
I agree.
They make an impact on companies across the world. And you know, having had the privilege to go in there when they were starting up a new direction, and we moved into the new building, and we started a furniture testing facility, you know, all that stuff is just great. And then for me personally, they sat me down one day in front of their new 3D printer, and that was back in 2009, and said, hey, you have to learn this. This is going to be your thing. I was like, and you're going to pay me for that? That's fantastic. So I had used 3D printers before at CVCC when I had taught AutoCAD, but here I was now able to learn and explore a world that was just kind of coming up, because 3D printing as a technology has been around for a real long time, but 3D printing as we recognize it today has really only been around for about 10, 12 years. And, you know, for those folks who are interested, you know, you hear about 3D printing and it sounds so science fiction, but, you know, essentially what you've got is, I mean, I've got 3 machines behind me here, the 2 orange ones and this one, and then I have a couple other ones in the shop, and they all work differently. They all have their own shtick, each machine, does something well, but for the most part, you're taking a spool of plastic, and it often looks like weed trimmer material, and you're extruding it. So if you think about a hot glue gun, everybody's used a hot glue gun to stick stuff together. Well, a 3D printer is like a smart hot glue gun. It takes the CAD model that somebody, you or somebody else, has created and drawn on the computer in 3D and saved as a particular kind of file, and then you send it to the 3D printers, and they'll slice that up. And when they slice it up, it gives them a path to follow when they're extruding this material. So I'll just show you real quick. This is a little phone holder that I've been messing with, and it's got the little ports down here to allow the sound to come out and amplify, and ventilation, and little pen holders and everything. But the thing is, you can conceptualize anything, draw it on the computer, and hold it in your hand in, you know, a few hours. And so that, to me, has fundamentally changed what it means to be in product development. And as you said earlier in the intro, Lindsay, I've been in product development specifically for furniture for, you know, the better part of my career, probably close to, you know, 28 years or so. And there were plenty of times where I was like, man, if I could only have one of these things instead of having to buy 10,000 of those things, because I just want to see if it works. And now I'm in my shop, and it's like you said, I'm working on guitars, and I had an idea for a part that would fit in the guitar, and it took me 9 tries, but I got it. But I was able to sit there and back and forth between the computer and the printer and make this thing in 9 iterations in a matter of, you know, a day or 2.
Wow.
So it's really changed how we, you know, how we approach design and product creation.
So Scott, that was an amazing overview of 3D printing. And I think a lot of people aren't familiar with this technology. Like you said, it's been around for some time, but certainly the technology as we know it, you have machines behind you that are certainly professional grade, but also like you can have a desktop size 3D printer, and like
Right.
a general hobbyist who's just curious, like you said, they're an innovator by nature. They're curious, and you can design something on CAD software, and like you said, in a matter of hours, you can hold it in your hand. So,
Yep.
talk about how does this technology translate to your business? So you started dabbling with 3D printing at the Manufacturing Solution Center. You had a thought to say, you know what, this definitely fills a niche, right? From a company, like you said, product development from the furniture industry, or say some other manufacturing, that instead of waiting for a couple weeks and losing productivity, you can now 3D print parts, replacement parts. You saw all this and you said there's potential for a business here. So give us a little bit of background about how you started this whole idea that became a business, and then tell our viewers about Regenbogen Studios.
Okay. Well, as you said, Lindsay, I was at Manufacturing Solution Center, and it was a great opportunity to find out how many people are out there who want to make something, whether, you know, and you know, we work with people who had great ideas. We work with people who had really not so great ideas. But as a center, we were really trying to help people get into production with a company, you know, to turn their idea into a company. I saw an opportunity to say, well, let's back it up one more step and give people who have no idea this technology even exists or how it works the opportunity to take a germ of an idea and turn it into a reality. And so, you know, when I left and started this, I've been careful to not plan my steps too rigidly, because things happen that will always push you in a different direction if you allow that to. And if you allow it to be something that you're kind of planning for the unexpected, then sometimes those things that happen can be growth paths instead of obstacles. So, you know, in my business, I said, you know, I want to start working with some of the folks that I know, some of the people that have approached me in the past, and you know, that grew into a pretty steady clientele. I was doing everything from internal furniture parts to tiny little machines that this guy invents that are, they're printed on this machine, and they're so small that you had to buy a microscope, a really good professional grade microscope, to assemble them.
Wow.
Because they're like watch parts. And he was told, oh, you can't 3D print that kind of stuff. And, you know, we proved that not only could you, but you could make lots of different iterations and use that technology for something that people, even the manufacturers of the machines themselves, wouldn't have expected. So kind of a long way around to answer your question.
No, it's good. Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing that I've seen recently, of course, is when the pandemic reared its head. You know, we had some family situations in New York a couple of years ago, and more recently, that caused us to be familiar with the folks at Mount Sinai Hospital. And so I said, well, I'm going to start printing face shields, because I understood that that was something that was needed. And you know, we created like 4 dozen professional grade face shields with a 3D printed band and acetate visor and adjustable Velcro straps and all that, and sent them up there. And it looks like now that's a commodity item.
That's right.
And that's going to be something that people need. So it's cool. I've already figured out how I'm going to do that. And so I'm working right now with, you know, potentially doing that on a much wider distribution level. And in general, 3D printing and that kind of technology has affected almost every kind of business, like whether it's the newest sneaker or eyeglasses or whatever, somebody's prototyping part of that on a 3D printer. And so that kind of pushed me towards wanting to go with professional grade equipment. But as you said, there's small desktop 3D printers that can be had for a couple of $100, and it gets you to understand what the technology can do. And that's where ideas come from.
Well, I think that's really neat. So you took your skill set and your expertise, and when COVID-19, this pandemic hit, you said, how can I help? And so creating PPE for those that are on the very front lines, and certainly New York, their communities have been drastically affected by this disease. And so I commend you for that. I want to dig a little bit deeper in that as well. So first of all, how did you figure out how to design the face shields? And then secondly, with it being such a kind of sensitive, medically, it needs to be sterile, how did you package it and then get it to them in a sterile way?
That's actually a couple of good questions. So first, I saw something on the news one morning that showed a company in upstate New York, when this was just starting to become a real problem. And I guess it was mid-March, and they were a company that had 3D printing equipment, and they were doing certain types of products. And they saw the need in their local hospital and said, we're going to 3D print some face shields. So they put a design up on the internet for people who wanted to participate, and you could download that design and share it.
Nice.
and start printing them. And then they also gave the links for where to get the acetate face shield. And so I started that way, and then being the nerd that I am, I figured out a way that would work better on my equipment, and I'm continuing to revise that. I think I'm on version 6 or 7 now. But each time I do it, I try to improve the product, and I'm going to get to a point where I put that design back up in public realm because I want other people to do it. As far as the sterilization and keeping things clean, it's important. You know, I don't have a clean room, so unfortunately, you got to take that into account. But I wear gloves whenever I handle the machinery or the material prior to printing it, and then the process of printing it goes through a heated nozzle. You know, so you're extruding this plastic through a heated tube that's you know, heated to 230 degrees C. So it's a very sterile means once, you know, once it's printed. And so as long as you don't recontaminate it.
Yeah.
So I never touch the printed parts without gloves. And as soon as it comes off the machine, I put it in a Ziploc bag and keep those parts in the bag throughout the assembly process. And I only have a couple of steps, and I can actually do the assembly of the straps and put instructions and slide the face shield in while the piece is still in that bag. So
that's great.
Then I seal all that stuff and ship it away.
And ship it on.
Yeah. And
so Scott, as we are, you mentioned that you're looking into how you can even produce more of this for personal protective equipment that's so needed right now. And originally, when we were looking as a community, a region, a country to produce more PPE, you had manufacturers all over shifting production. We've had just 600 plus manufacturers just in our region that have shifted production to, maybe they were doing furniture before, they're now making face masks, or maybe they're doing furniture before, they're now making protective surgical gowns. Yep. And just like you shifted to making face shields. Those were all originally targeted at the front line, so medical professionals that need this. But now, as we're reopening our economy, we have other businesses, maybe personal care type businesses, or retail, or manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, where there are employees that are potentially in close contact with one another or with customers, and they have need for PPE. So if a company is, or a business owner is watching, they are in need of trying to reopen, trying to make their safe reopening plan, trying to equip their staff with the proper PPE. Is that something that they can contact you for?
Oh yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I was just having this conversation today. You know, face masks are important, and you know, I wear one every time I go out of the house to another place, like a store or go through a drive-through. But they're saying now face shields may be as important, if not more so, in certain applications. So like you said, you know, personal, what do you call it? Personal?
Yeah. An esthetician or
an esthetician, manicurist.
Yes, where you're
but
really
even when you think about, somebody who's selling shoes, anytime you have to get close to somebody, that's going to offer a level of protection. Plus, it still allows you to see the person's face, which, you know, in my case, having a mask is a great idea. But in most people's cases, you want to see somebody smile and see their eyes and whatever. So, that's actually one of the things that I've been working on right now, is bringing the main reason I'm redesigning this is to bring the design into a more easily producible product that, you know, I can offer to somebody without it being cost prohibitive, but still a value for both of us. And I've got the material, and the way things happen from here on out has to change, and it's going to, it's whether we like it or not. So our option is either watch it change and go, oh, that was a great idea, or try to be part of it. And so that's kind of the thing that I think is important, is to keep inventing, keep coming up with ideas, keep modifying. And that's, again, the product development / artist in me. I never am satisfied, because I think there's always a way you can improve on something, and that's great. Just one more quick thing I wanted to say about the PPE is I started with a place that I knew had a real specific need, but I think it's also really critical to do for the local folks here. Restaurants, I mean, for crying out loud, restaurant industry has been decimated, and we have to do what we can to support those guys. And so if I can do PPE and give it to them at a really great price, and it's something that helps them out, then we've both succeeded. And also learning about this technology. Like we said, there's small enough footprint 3D printers where somebody who just has an inkling to say, I'm going to fill up a few hours a week, talk to me about how to do it. I can help you set up the machine. I can help you find, the right materials, maybe prevent you from spending money that you don't have to spend. So, I mean, that's another, again, that educator part of me that I loved. You really, you don't have any limitations to what we can be creating these days.
Scott, speaking of educator, the educator part of you, I know Manufacturing Solutions Center in general welcomes thousands of 8th graders every year, talking about the future, or the current advanced manufacturing, how it's changed so rapidly over the last several decades, if not year over year, on the use of automation and robotics and just general innovation. It just is so fastly, it evolves so quickly. There are skill sets here, both in what you've talked about, just general being inquisitive and asking why, or can we do this a better way? These are all what we would refer to as soft skills, being a problem solver, that in my opinion, this will benefit anybody, right? In whatever phase of their career, but certainly if you were to talk to an 8th grader or a high school student who's looking ahead at the future of work, which, by the way, we're preparing kids now for careers that don't even exist yet, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So give me your thoughts on that. So how being an innovator can translate to then the future of work?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. Yeah, how much time do we have? No, so the part of the job when I was at MSC that I loved was when we would bring these groups of STEM children through. And I think when I was there, we had passed the 10,000 kid mark. And you'd bring these groups through, and some kids were just kind of there because it was a time to get out of school. But there were definitely more kids than you would have expected that their eyes lit up when they saw things that they had never seen before. And then when you say, oh, this could be your job, it's like, wait, what? And so from a technology standpoint, a lot of these guys are growing up with technology that was completely alien to us, when we were growing up. And I think that it's imperative that teachers foster that creativity in these kids, to say, not everybody's going to go and get their MBA. There's an absolute need in the world for people who are flexible on their feet and can problem solve. You hit the nail on the head when you said that, because we've kind of fostered a generation of people who we solve their problems for them, or they can get their problems solved fairly easily. The challenge is being the kind of person that wants to go another step further, and they get a challenge and they want to solve that challenge in a way that suits them. I mean, taking things apart, putting things back together again. I had the luxury of being paid to destroy people's furniture when I was at MSC. And it's like, I'd show these kids this machine that it looked like a robot. And here we were, dropping giant weight bags and smashing legs. And it was freaking great, but at the same time, you need people who understand how does that fit into manufacturing.
Yes.
3D printing saves so much time in the manufacturing process as a means to 3D printing anything, whether it's on this kind of a resin-based machine or this kind of a filament-based machine. You have to understand how to draw something in the computer. So if you understand how to do CAD creation, you're all of a sudden a needed individual. And there's CAD programs that are geared for people who've never touched CAD before. And you can go everywhere from the simplest thing to software that's designed to put cars and jets together. But if you understand the basics of creation in the digital world, those are some seriously needed jobs.
Absolutely. And they will be seriously highly paid jobs, both now and in the future. Because to your point, this is where work is going, and this is where manufacturing is continuing to go. A statistic that I am aware of that you might not even be aware of, Scott, the Hickory Metro. So the Hickory Lenore Morganton MSA, it has the most working robots per 1,000 workers of any other MSA across the state of North Carolina, but also we come in second to Greenville Spartanburg for both North and South Carolina. So this is where our community is continuing to go. And by the way, talking about innovation and technology in manufacturing or in work in general, I feel like it's going to happen at a faster pace. Robots don't get sick, right? And so as we're looking ahead of how the COVID-19 pandemic is going to change the way we do business, even on beyond a vaccine or even beyond this pandemic, those are some of the things that are in top of mind for the businesses that we have the privilege of partnering with. And I'm sure that you have the privilege of partnering with within our community. So, Scott, I want to thank you for your expertise and your time today. Leave our viewers with how they can engage with you. Okay,
I can, well, first, I just wanted to thank you again for the second opportunity to do this interview. And I think as far as chambers go, you guys are really, you have made this something that people want to engage with. I've been, in communities where the Chamber of Commerce was just really a building you drove past, and, occasionally somebody would get a plaque, but you guys really push this interaction, and I appreciate that, and thank you for that. As far as getting a hold of me or my company, you can reach us online at www.regenbogenstudios.com, or you can email me at scotr@regenbogenstudios, and it's spelled just how it sounds. No, it's I get that a lot. But you can, again, regenbogenstudios.com. You can find all of our contact information there, and we love working with all kinds of folks.
Scott, it's a privilege to partner with you. I appreciate your generous investment in your chamber. I know you see what we do is far deeper than what's even on the surface that most people understand. So I appreciate you understanding why a chamber exists, right? We exist for a time such as this, to be honest. This is why I show up to work every day, is not only coming alongside of our business partners to help them navigate times of crisis such as this, but also working with people like you to help the rest of our community benefit from your expertise, and so much more on how we can continue to grow this community and prosper this community, and to be a voice for business. So I thank you for that. I thank you for reminding everybody, and for giving us a nice affirming shout out. I appreciate that. Well, everyone that's watching, I thank you so much for tuning in. I thank you for continuing to tune in. And I hope that what you have heard today, you'll take a nugget away, at least a nugget away, and apply to what you're doing. Also hope that maybe you met someone new for the first time. Scott Regenbogen is an incredible part of our business community, and I hope that you will engage with him sometime in the future. So stay tuned for our next series. We will be releasing that theme and our lineup of speakers in the coming, hopefully within the next 2 weeks. So again, if you're interested in being a part of this, whether you allow me to ask you some questions for at least 30 minutes or so, or maybe you like what we're doing and you want to sponsor and be a part of this in a different way, I welcome your call. Again, I thank you for the privilege of partnership and for allowing us to come alongside of you, and know that we're here for you, right? We exist for business, and we work on behalf of business. So I want to say thank you again to J. Brown Realtors and their team for making this possible. And again, Scott, I want to say thank you to you for allowing me to interview you again today. So, all right. Well, Scott's giving a wave. Scott's giving a wave. You don't get to see his face. Scott, why don't you say goodbye so people can see you?
Thanks, Lindsay. It was, again, my pleasure. I appreciate it.